Afternoon, everybody. Christian here. Today I have a prophetic word to share with you. Before I do that, I want to take a moment. Sharon Mounts, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Not certain on that. She put up a video, I believe it was today, and it was a prophetic word, but the title of the prophetic word was turning the corner or something like that. And I'm just letting you know, you go watch that video. I recommend you do so. It's a video that I can confirm is a prophetic word. And it might be a weird prophetic word, but it's true. And let me tell you something that you might not know. When God gives me a prophetic word, a dream, a word, whatever, as soon as I see it, I know what elements within it are really important, okay? Now, I may not understand everything there is to know about that particular thing. We know in part, we prophesy in part, but I know there's prophetic anointing or something on this element, and so I know to keep an eye out for it. Or, I don't know, it just, you feel it. You know when you see it, that's prophetic. And that's how you can also tell when people are doing things that are not prophetic, that's not prophetic. But anyway, sometime back, I made a video and I talked to you about, I forget the title of it, I'll link it here if I remember to do so. But in the video, I talked about seeing myself walking down a road. I turn a corner and then I see my uncle on one side of the road and I'm on the other side of the road. We're both carrying bows and arrows and we walk behind this church, right? Or this building, church building. And then behind them I see kids practicing shooting arrows, right? Like I said, you can watch the video if you haven't already. In that story that I told you guys, I gave elements that I understood, that I knew what these things were and they needed to be expounded upon for your benefit. But there were also things that are important that I didn't expound upon because I didn't have the insight into it. One of those things was the turning of that corner. I recognized in the dream, this matters. This turning of the corner matters. It wouldn't be there if it didn't. So why did God show me turning a corner? What is that significant of? What does it signify, right? Well, I did not know, and still I'm not 100% clear on that. But I know it's important. I know it's prophetic. And so when Sharon Mounts put out the video saying turning the corner, I recognize not only that it's prophetic, but also where we're at on the timeline of that dream. Where we're walking one direction, then I turn a corner, and I see my uncle doing these things, right? That particular uncle, his name is Joel, and that's important for what I'm about to tell you. So anyway, a couple of nights ago, let's just take everything I've said and put that aside, right? A couple of nights ago, I had this dream. It's a dream like I've never had before, and so I kind of wanted to sit on it for a little bit, but hearing Sharon Mounts' video, I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right, talking about turning the corner, I'm confident now to share this dream with you. So anyway, this is the dream that I saw a few nights ago. I saw myself standing in a city, and there were multi-floored buildings around me, and it was nighttime, but I could see. So like it might be a full moon or something like that would make it bright enough that you could see at night. And I looked up and I could see the clouds in the sky. And they're a particular type of cloud that just was very thin and kind of just looked like a cliff, maybe. And I just describe it that way because of what I saw happening. When I looked up and I saw this, all of a sudden I saw, for a moment, it looked like they were in camouflage, cloaked in cloud, but the more I looked, they became crystal clear. You couldn't miss them. There were a group of angels, and they were running to the end of the cloud and diving off into the world. And there were several of them, and the last one, as I'm looking at them, they're all on a road, just taking turns jumping off this thing. As I look, I think to myself, oh, I would love to talk to one of them, to see one of those, And the last one on the row of angels that are about to jump, the very last one turns and looks at me and then jumps. And I think, oh, he's going to come talk to me. But then I start to doubt in the dream that he will actually come talk to me. But then sure enough, he comes around the corner and he's coming in the building area that I'm in, and I'm outdoors, but he walks up to me, and I'm thinking, well, any minute now, he's going to disappear, right? And I put out my hand to shake his hand, like, well, surely he's not going to shake my hand. And he shakes my hand. And again, I'm thinking he's going to disappear any minute now. And as he's standing there, it looks as though he's drawn like a cartoon would be drawn. It's weird. I've never seen anything like that before, and that's why I held off sharing the dream. In any event, the angel says, tell Joel, and I recognize my uncle, though he represents a group of people as well, so hang on for a minute. I'll give you the interpretation I have in a moment. He says, tell Joel, and I stopped him and said, why do you do that? Why do you guys always speak to the head of the house? And he responds, that's just how it's always been. And I'm good with that. Then he says the thing that he intended to say before I cut him off. And he says these two things, very, very profound. When I heard him, I was like, oh, wow, very powerful. And then I went to recall them, and I couldn't. They were gone. And I was like, well, could you tell me it again? Because I forgot it. And he tells it to me again. Exactly the same way he did the first time. Just as profound movement. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. But I could not recall it to tell it to him again. Even in just the very next second, I couldn't do it. This happened 3 or 4 times. And finally, the angel says, love is going to murder. And another being, I don't know if it's a person or another angel or whatever, says, oh, don't say it like that. And he tells them, no, he'll remember it if I say it like that. And what he's doing, he's contrasting something. And I know what he means when he says it. Anyway, that was the end of the dream. When I woke up, what I could remember was love is going to murder. And I knew what I was supposed to tell Joel. And again, Joel is a particular individual who I will tell this to, but he's also representative of another group of people. Okay, it's leadership in the church that maybe a past generation or representative of the pastors or something like that. I'm not exactly clear what it represents. I'm just giving you some kind of umbrella for which to share with what I'm about to tell you. I believe it is the leadership of the church, okay? Pastoral leadership, that kind of a thing. The head of the family, okay? So this is what you need to know about this dream. The first thing you need to know is that love is going to murder. That's a contradiction, and that's why the other person or the other being said, don't say it like that. And why also I remembered it so easily. It's such a contrast. You see, love is God, right? And God is going to murder that's a weird statement, right? I mean, we know scripturally it says, thou shalt not, right? You shall not murder, right? So why would God then murder? That doesn't sound biblical at all. Unless you understand what he's talking about, and I happen to because I remember it. What he's talking about is that everything you can point to today and say, I remember this time when God did this in my life. I remember this time when an angel said this to me. I remember this time when I had a dream like this. I remember this time. Every single spiritual encounter you've ever had, all of them are going to be murdered. They're going to be murdered because they're going to be forgotten compared to what is coming. That's the angels jumping from the sky into earth, okay? The helpers are coming, and they're going to do things in people's lives to levels and degrees you have never seen before. Everything that God is going to do will murder what you have seen him do in the past. None of us have experienced this, all right? This is huge, okay? Again, this is not to an individual solely. This is to that individual, but all individuals in that category, all right? That's all I had to share with you. God bless. Take care. See you the next one.